She once told me, "Flirting doesn't mean anything." I smiled, not because it was funny, but because in that instant, everything finally made sense. That single sentence revealed who she'd become and what I had stopped being to her a long time ago. There was a time when our marriage rested on trust so solid, it didn't need constant checking in. When a missed text didn't set off alarm bells. When we'd still light up at the sight of each other, as if no one else in the room existed. But somewhere between late-night meetings and just coworkers, that trust began to decay. It started small, a glance that lasted a heartbeat too long, a laugh that sounded rehearsed. Then came the phone lighting up at midnight, screen turned face down, brushed off with a casual, "It's nothing." And maybe I wanted to believe it. Maybe I was just too tired to start another fight I already knew I'd lose. One evening, I arrived at a restaurant earlier than expected. She hadn't seen me yet. From across the room, I watched her leaning in close to a man whose name I'd heard before. "Just a friend from work." Her hand grazed his arm. Her eyes held a spark I hadn't seen in months. My stomach twisted, but I didn't interrupt. I just stood there long enough for the truth to carve itself into my memory. Later that night, when she came home, she looked startled to find me still awake. I asked a single question. "Were you with him?" She sighed, almost irritated, and said, "It was just flirting." "It doesn't mean anything." I smiled. "Neither does our marriage anymore." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. She froze, realizing that something had finally broken beyond repair. I didn't shout. I didn't demand explanations. I just sat there, strangely calm, because the breaking had already happened long before that night. Of course, she tried to smooth it over. Said I was overreacting, that everyone flirts. But she never understood. It wasn't about a few playful words or glances. It was about erosion. The slow, deliberate wearing away of something sacred. Each secret smile, each hidden message, every "you're imagining things," they chipped at us, piece by piece, until nothing was left. I looked at her, then, really looked, and saw how far we'd drifted. We were strangers, wearing the masks of a marriage. The laughter, the comfort, it was gone. All that remained were walls built from half-truths and quiet resentment. She reached for my hand, but I didn't move. Her touch no longer felt like home. "Don't throw everything away over something so small," she whispered. I wanted to tell her it wasn't small. It was every sleepless night I waited up, every moment I doubted what I already knew. It was death by 1,000 cuts, and she had just given the final one. Instead, I stood, walked past her, and said quietly, "You did that all on your own." That night, I didn't pack my bags or slam the door. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling until sunlight crept through the blinds. By morning, the decision was already made, not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. You can only bleed for so long before you stop feeling the wound. When she woke up, she acted as if nothing had happened. Made coffee, asked if I wanted breakfast. As if the words, "Our marriage doesn't mean anything," hadn't echoed through the walls all night. I watched her move through the kitchen, the woman I once thought I couldn't live without. And all I felt was emptiness. I told her I'd be leaving for a while. She didn't fight it. Maybe she thought I'd come back once I'd cooled off. Maybe she still believed she had that power over me. But when I closed the door behind me, I knew I wasn't coming back. Not to that house. Not to the version of myself that kept mistaking tolerance for love. Weeks passed. She called, she texted, even showed up once saying she missed me. But it wasn't me she missed. It was the comfort, the routine, the man who made excuses for her choices. I didn't answer. Some endings don't need closure. They just need silence, and now I realize she was half right. Flirting didn't mean anything to her, but to me it meant everything. Because that's when I finally saw what I'd refused to see all along. Love can't survive where respect has already died.